Hello friends, this is your friend back with a new fanfic. Banished Naruto builds his own alliance. If you like this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Now, let's start. In the nearest town, Naruto dropped Aoi and his two goons off at the nearest bounty office and collected his fee. I sure made a bundle off these three. If I knew bounty hunting was this profitable, I would have trained solely for this purpose in my ninja life, he said to himself. Hey, maybe the Akatsuki members have bigger bounties than this. Don't get ahead of yourself, Naruto. After all, compared to the Akatsuki members, Aoi was just a small helping, as you've seen from both Itachi and Kisame. Kurama thought. I know, Naruto replied as he left the office with Ao, Chojuro, and Hotaru waiting for him. Alright, I'm done, take me to your Mizukage. Follow us. Ao instructed as they headed for the docks and caught a boat ride bound for Kiri. That night, as the boat was slowly crossing the waters, Naruto was using his power to levitate some coins in his palm. How can you really do that? Chojuro asked, approaching with Hotaru. I told you I'm a wind manipulator. Naruto replied. But you haven't done any hand signs or anything. Chojuro noticed. I'm a very special case, so I don't have to use hand signs. Believe me, I've seen my fair share of ninjas with unique abilities ranging from natural to bloodline. Naruto explained, remembering Haku. Well, you got me there. Chojuro admitted. By the way, Chojuro, what's with that thing you got wrapped on your back? Naruto noticed. Oh, this is my sword Haramakare. I was given this when I was selected to become a new member of the Seven Swordsmen. Naruto's eyes widened hearing that title. Did you say Seven Swordsmen? Yeah, why, it's that a problem for you? Chojuro asked. Oh no, not at all, it's just I ran into someone months ago who came from the same team. Naruto explained. What? Who? Just about every member of the original Seven Swordsmen disbanded years ago. Chojuro began, but Naruto finished. A failed assassination of a feudal lord. Yeah, that's what I heard. You know of a tall guy named Zabuza. Zabuza Momochi. You met him. The blue-haired boy gasped. Oh yeah, and I honestly wish I could say I fought him, but I didn't. Instead, I fought a partner of his who utilized a bloodline ability known as Hyouten. Whoa, Naruto, what was it like standing in the presence of the demon of the Kiri? Well, I felt the area around me go cold, along with mist coming with him. And that giant sword of his was too good to be real, but you know, for the demon of Kiri he wasn't a total heartless. What do you mean? Hotaru asked while Chojuro was confused. He may have the reputation as a cold-hearted killer, but deep down he had honor and love for his partner. Naruto answered as he had a flashback to the battle on the bridge in Wave months ago. Zabuza turned to Naruto after realizing Haku never did kill Sasuke Uchiha with his Senbon. Hey kid, Naruto looked at Zabuza, seeing tears in his eyes. Your words cut deep, deeper than any blade. All that stuff I said about Haku being nothing more than my tool and weapon, I lied. I did care about him, I loved him like he was my own son. I thank you for helping me remember that, and to make up for what I've done. I'm going to help you. Zabuza used what energy he had to pull the bandage off his mouth. Can ya spare a weapon? Naruto smiled, throwing a kunai to him. Take it. Zabuza caught it in his mouth. Arigato. He took off running at the mob. The mercenaries threw whatever weapons they had at Zabuza, piercing him, but the demon of the mist still ran, using Naruto's kunai to assassinate the mercenaries. After a majority of the mercenaries were killed, the remaining few fled the scene, not wanting to return ever again. Zabuza, with no energy left, fell on his back. He grunts in pain. Guess this is the end for me. Zabuza. Kakashi said as Squad 7 and Tazuna gather around. Zabuza looked up to Naruto. Kid, what's your name? My name is Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto answered. Naruto, I thank you for helping me see the light. Zabuza said. Kakashi, I have one request for you. Set me next to Haku, if I'm going to die here and now. I'd want it to be next to him. Yes, Zabuza. Kakashi carried Zabuza's body, setting him down next to Haku, where the swordsman looked at the side to Haku's lifeless face. You were always at my side, the least I can do is to be beside you at the end. I know it cannot be, but I wish I could go to where you have gone. How I wish I could join you there, Haku. Zabuza said before his eyes closed, signaling his death. Naruto was brought out of his flashback and looked to them. Even if you're trained to become a pure killer, even some will always have a small piece of emotion within them. After all, we're all human, aren't we? You're absolutely right. Hotaru agreed. Chojuro yawned. Well, I'm going to bed now, I'll catch you all in the morning. He went inside the ship's cabin. Naruto continued sitting down looking out into the sea as Hotaru sat next to him. Naruto. I want to know, where did you come from? Naruto was surprised she'd ask him something personal like that but felt hesitant to answer given his past. Should I tell her, or will she just treat me like everyone else? Maybe I'll take my chances, and if she doesn't take it kindly I can just fly off. Well, Hotaru, the village I previously came from wasn't exactly a place I was proud to call my home. How come? Well, I was born an orphan, I didn't know my mother or my father. Growing up wasn't even what you'd call a happy life. For reasons I never did understand, the villagers treated me like shit. Every day I'd receive beatings from villagers, charged for expired foods, even had my own apartment ransacked. Whenever I asked someone why I'm treated so poorly, they'd just say I killed millions of innocent lives and caused people nothing but pain. Naruto explained while clenching his fist. Hotaru gasped at this and spoke, why would so many say something like that? You don't look like you would harm anyone innocent. Yeah, I thought they knew something I didn't know, and it turns out they did, but they let their own emotions and rage blind them to what I really was. Really were. Hotaru was confused. The truth is, Hotaru, I'm a jinchūriki. A jinchūriki? Hotaru gasped. So you've heard of them, have you? I have, in fact my master is one. He is. Naruto was taken aback. Yes, now I understand what you mean. My master said he was casted out, looked down upon, treated like he was a monster just because he had one sealed inside him. The girl explained, truth is there are still some who treat him that way, but he no longer lets them get to him. He only gets stronger so that he can protect himself and anyone he cares about, such as me. I see. So what else? Hotaru asked. Well, during my time in the village I formed a rivalry with another boy. He was Mr. Popular due to the reputation of his clan. Every girl at the ninja academy wanted him, and boys were envious of him. But me, all I wanted to do was surpass him. I thought he was my friend, seeing as how both of us were what made each other work harder to get stronger. But that was all a lie, Naruto said as his eyes tightened. He was just a blind fool obsessed with revenge for the massacre of his family. He attempted to go nuke nin so he could get stronger from another nuke nin. I was sent to stop him and bring him back. And when I did, the council banished me for nearly killing him. What? Hotaru gasped. How can they do that? They're the council, and that means they think they're so superior they can do whatever they want and how they want it. Naruto explained, so they used that as an excuse to banish me. Naruto then found himself pulled into a hug by Hotaru and blushed, feeling the side of his head pressed into the girl's soft mounds while hearing her whimper, I'm so sorry. For what? Naruto asked, confused. For making you remember such a horrid life. You were wrongfully treated for something you had no control over. You didn't deserve to be treated like a plague. I'm so sorry. She hugged his head tighter, making him blush. Whoa, these things are soft. No wonder Ero Sennin has a fascination for them. He thought, but snapped out of it before Hotaru noticed he was enjoying the feeling too much. He got out of her hug and looked at her. Thanks, Hotaru, but I'm okay really. In fact, being banished was about the greatest thing that ever happened to me. It's given me a chance to start a new life and such. Isn't there anybody you miss in your village? The girl asked. Yes, quite a lot of people, and they all treated me like a person. But not even them could keep me from getting banished. But I'll always remember them, because the greatest friends are the ones you'll never forget. Hotaru smiled and leaned her head into his shoulder. I couldn't agree more with you, Naruto. Soon the two had fallen asleep, and Ao popped out from the ship's cabin and saw Naruto and Hotaru sitting against one of the masts, with Hotaru leaning her head into Naruto's shoulder. The man smiled at how peaceful they looked before grabbing a spare blanket and covered them up. Mai-sama would love to see this, he said as he went back to the cabin to sleep. When morning came, Naruto and Hotaru woke up and noticed they entered a blanket of fog. Hey, what's going on? Naruto asked as he got up. Hotaru stood up. We made it. Made it? Naruto asked. Yes, welcome to Kiri, Naruto. Ao said as he and Chojuro approached. Naruto looked and saw a village coming into clear. Wow, so this is really Kiri. It certainly lives up to its reputation as a village hidden in mist, he said, almost unable to see anything. That's the way the climate is around our village every year, Ao explained. Soon after the boat docked, the three ninja led Naruto through the village heading for the administration building. They walked through a hall before stopping before a room where Ao knocked on the door and a female voice answered from the other side, "Come in." Ao opened the door showing Naruto in, where he looked over, and seated at a desk was a slender woman in her early 30s. She had ankle-length, auburn hair styled into a herringbone pattern at the back, a top knot tied with a dark blue band, and with 4 bangs at the front. 2 bangs are short, with one covering her right eye, and 2 are long, crossing each other on her ample chest, just below her chin. Her eyes were light green, had dark blue polish on her fingers and toes, and had dark blue lipstick on. She wore a long-sleeved dark blue dress that falls just below the knees. Was closed at the front with a zip, and is kept open on the front right side from the waist down. The dress only covered up to the upper part of her arms and the underside underneath. She wore a mesh shirt that covered more of her upper body than her dress, but stopped short of covering her shoulders and still leaves a sizable cleavage. She also wore shorts in the same color as her dress, and underneath those were mesh leggings reaching down over her knees. Around her waist, she wore a belt with a pouch attached to the back on the left, high-heeled sandals and shin guards reaching up over her knees. Naruto looked lost for words, staring at the beautiful woman that was before him. Did Tsunade-Basen have a sister and never told me? Naruto thought to himself. Mai-sama, Chojuro and I have returned from our reconnaissance mission. Ao explained to the woman. Good work to all 3 of you. The woman answered as Ao continued. Though we did run into a bit of trouble, mainly Hotaru, he muttered under his breath while Hotaru scowled. I see. The woman crossed her arms. Hotaru was attacked by 3 ninja from AIM until our friend here helped her. Chojuro explained, revealing Naruto. Mai, upon seeing their guest, blushed. Oh my, she walked over to him, and who is this piece of handsome? She smiled, making Naruto blush, but he had to keep cool. Naruto Mizukage-sama. Naruto sweat with excitement. Naruto. What a beautiful name, she said, making him laugh nervously. Ahem, Naruto, I present to you the Godime Mizukage of Kirime Terumi. Ao introduced him. An honor, ma'am. Naruto bowed his head. No need to be formal now, but how did you manage to help Hotaru against 3 ninja? She asked. Chojuro answered, apparently he has some kind of special wind manipulating power that enabled him to defeat them before they could land a blow on him. Mai looked curious about this and turned to Hotaru. Is this true? Yes, I didn't believe it until I saw it with my own eyes, Mai-sama. She answered. Mai turned to Naruto. For what reason did you decide to help Hotaru? For one thing, I could tell she wouldn't have stood a chance against the 3 who cornered her, and second, it's because I felt like it. What village do you come from? Mai continued questioning. None. I'm a traveling ninja with no specific loyalties to any village or nation leader. Naruto answered. Well, every ninja had to start somewhere, or are you a nuke nin yourself? Mai questioned suspiciously. No, I'm a banished ninja. Banished? Mai asked until the door opened and entering was a tall, thin young man with pale golden eyes and brown hair that reached to his shoulders. His side parting let a large portion of his bangs cover the left side of his face. He wore a long, light blue kimono adorned with a small emblem of 3 bubbles on the back, and a pair of black pants underneath, with an orange sash. The kimono hung loose, exposing his chest. In it was a bamboo jug and a pipe. Oh, sorry to intrude, Mizukage-sama, I didn't know you were having a meeting. The man said until Hotaru spoke. Utakata-sama. Oh Hotaru, you're back. I didn't expect you back for another few days. He replied. You'd wish. She replied. Naruto looked at the man who noticed him as well. The 2 gazed at each other as if they were looking deeper beyond what was in front of him. This guy, the first, feel it within him. Kurama, is he another one? Yes, Naruto, the chakra radiating off him can only be from Seiken the Rokubi. Utakata was thinking, Seiken, is this boy also like me? Yes, Utakata, I feel it in his chakra, he is the one who controls Kurama the Kyubi. A demonic voice thought back. I see. Just in time, Mai said, Utakata, I'd like you to meet our guest Naruto. Naruto, this is Utakata, Hotaru's master. Naruto approached him extending his hand. Nice to meet ya. Likewise. Utakata shook his hand. Chojuro and Ao, would you 2 mind leaving for now while I have a word with these 3? Mai requested. Of course, Mizukage-sama. Chojuro replied. But if you want, my lady, I could wait outside and, Ao began only to come face to face with Mei, who was giving him a sweet smile while deeply Ao could sense malice vibes. I said you were dismissed, Ao. Ao started sweating bullets, nodded. Yes milady. He said and left the room with Chojuro. Naruto thought, wow, she can be scary like Ba-san. With only Mei, Naruto, Hotaru, and Utakata in the room, Mei spoke. Now then, for starters, Naruto, your last name wouldn't happen to be Uzumaki, would it? Naruto was surprised. How does she know my last name? Kurama, what do I do? What you always do, what comes natural. Well, as a matter of fact, yes. He admitted. Mei smiled. I should have figured as much. But how do you know that last name? Naruto asked, confused. Because I was once friends with an Uzumaki, her name was Kushina. The Mizukage answered, making Naruto more surprised. You knew my mom. Hotaru and Utakata turned to Naruto, surprised at his shock. Mom? They asked. Mei looked serious and relieved. So it's true, Kushina did have a child named Naruto. I'm lost here, how do you know my mom? Naruto asked, wanting answers. Well, Naruto, Kushina and I were close when we were children, you might even say we were like sisters. Mei explained. But how can that be? Mom came from Uzushio. And we originally had ties with Uzushio. Mei continued. In fact, my father was made a representative of here and would take me along with him to Uzushio, where I'd play with Kushina. Boy, was she a mischievous one, always getting into trouble. But deep down she was a caring person. That I can believe, Naruto admitted. But years ago Kushina was brought to Konoha when Uzushio was destroyed. I had wanted to visit her and her new lover Minato Namikaze, but during the reign of our Yondaime Mizukage Yagura, who ended our ties with any village there was, hence I hadn't seen Kushina since then, only through letters. In fact, I received a letter about what happened to her and Minato 13 years ago and that their child was alive. That was you, Naruto. Mei explained. Minato Namikaze? Utakata asked. But that's the late Yondaime Hokage of Konoha. Naruto's the child of a Hokage. Hotaru gasped. Yes, it's true, Konoha was my former home. Naruto answered. Former home? Mei asked. Yes, I'm banished. Naruto explained. Banished, but why? Sit down and I'll explain everything. Naruto began as he told the three the full story about his birth, upbringing, the Ninja Academy, Squad 7, all the way up to Naruto's banishment, leaving out about the object he found underground, and that's it. I don't believe it. Hotaru gasped, seeing everything clearer since she also heard about the Uchiha massacre. I can't believe the council would favor someone willing to go traitor over you. Mei was outraged. That's the way the council is, they hate Jinchūriki or anyone that's not of their village. Naruto explained. I know exactly how you feel, Naruto. Utakata said. Yes, Hotaru did say her master was also a Jinchūriki. You hold the Rokubi, right? I do, just as you hold the Kyubi, correct? That's right, so I suppose you had the same life as I did? Naruto asked. More or less. Utakata answered. Then perhaps it's best if our tenants met again. Naruto said, extending his hand. Utakata, not sure how this would work, took Naruto's hand and suddenly they found themselves in a conjoint plane with Kurama behind Naruto and a giant slug with 6 tails behind Utakata. Whoa, so that's the Kyubi, or Kurama. Utakata said. Correct. Well, Saiken, you're looking very well for a slug. Kurama joked. Right back at you, Kurama. Once again you're transferred to another Uzumaki, huh? The slug asked. Well, my last 2 have been women, so it's nice to have a male host this time. Kurama replied. Naruto, have you met any other Jinchūriki besides me? Utakata asked. Actually, I have, his name's Gaara and he lives in Suna. Naruto answered. Suna? Then you must be talking about Shukaku. Saiken said. Yup, at first he was wild and out of control, but I gave him a little bit of my own kind of therapy and now we're friends. Naruto explained. Yes, I agree, it's important for Jinchūriki to stick together, especially now of all times. Kurama added. How so? Utakata asked. This is something the Mizukage should know as well. Naruto said as they ended their link and found themselves back in the office. What just happened with you two? You both weren't moving for 15 minutes. Hotaru said. Just having a private conversation, but now I feel there's something you should know that concerns Utakata's safety. Naruto said. Safety? Mei asked. Yes, has anyone ever heard of the Akatsuki organization? Mei looked down in guilt. Yes, as a matter of fact we do, because the truth is we believe Kiri was the start of this organization. What's the Akatsuki? Hotaru asked. Naruto answered, the Akatsuki is an organization composed of nuke nin with one goal in mind, to collect the 9 Biju. I've only met 2 of them and they were a dangerous pair. Itachi Uchiha and Kisame Hoshigaki. Mei looked shocked, so that's what Kisami's been doing all these years. You said Kiri was the start of the organization, but how? Naruto asked. Years ago during the reign of Aryandami Mizukage, rumor had it Yagura was being manipulated by another force into starting the turmoil that led to bloodline slaughter. We believe the one who was manipulating him was the one who leads the Akatsuki, though we're still not sure. Mei explained. This calls for more looking into. I may be unable to go back to Konoha, but I can still keep in touch with Tsunade Basen and Ero Sennin. He said to himself. Naruto, you've obviously had a long day, why don't you go and relax in our hot spring? Utakata, show him the way. Mei ordered. Yes ma'am, he said as the 2 walked out of the office. Hey Naruto, thanks for what you did for Hotaru. No problem. She said. How much of a jerk I am? He asked. No, just nothing but respect. The redhead replied. That's surprising. I may not have a problem training her, but sometimes it can be tiring. Utakata explained. Can't say I know the feeling since I never trained anyone, but hey, if she's able to say such nice things about you, then you must be doing something right. Thanks, the slug Jinchūriki replied as they stopped by an onsen. Well, this is it, hope you enjoy it. You're not gonna join me, Utakata? Sorry, but I still got stuff to do. Well, check y'all later. Utakata walked off. Oh well, more space for me, Naruto said as he got undressed and entered the onsen waist wrapped in a towel and sat with his arms on the ledge with a towel on his forehead, just like the hot springs back home. Suddenly he heard the door slide open. Guess some of the others. He turned and gawked upon seeing Mei and Hotaru standing before him with their bodies wrapped in towels. I see you've gotten comfortable, Naruto. Mei smiled. What are you 2 doing here? Naruto gasped as he covered his nose for fear of nose bleeding. We've come for a bath as well. With me here? Naruto asked. This is a mixed onsen, Naruto. Mei assured him. Well, that's a relief. If Ero Sennin knew what I'd be doing, he'd be so envious of my luck. Naruto said. Who's Ero Sennin? Hotaru asked. You must be talking about Jiraiya of the Sannin. Mei said. Yup. Naruto replied. It certainly sounds like a fitting nickname. Mei admitted. And it drives him nuts. Naruto snickered as the girls got into the bath sitting across from him. Then is Tsunade of the Sannin really your grandma? Hotaru asked. No, I just like calling her that. I have nicknames for certain mentors I consider the closest. He replied. Speaking of family, I notice you have your mother's face but you have your father's eyes. Mei noticed. Well, I used to have his hair as well, until I dyed it red like my mom's. Partly so it'll be harder for certain people to not recognize me, Naruto said and looked at Hotaru. So Hotaru, just how did you come to be Utakata's student? Well, it all started out many years ago in my old village back when I was with my home clan Tsushigumo. She began as Mei continued. The Tsushigumo clan had in fact a link with Konoha at the time. A link? What kind? During the Third Shinobi War, the Tsushigumo clan made a pact with the Sandaime Hokage. The clan head at the time created a powerful technique that could wipe out an entire village, though Hiruzen Sarutobi through the pact demanded it be made forbidden, in exchange for protection provided by Konoha in times of need. She continued, because they had such a dangerous technique they were targeted by rivaling nations, leading to many clan members being killed. Whoa! Naruto gasped, feeling it was the Uchiha and Kagaya clan all over again. Yes, in a last-ditch attempt Hotaru's grandfather sealed the forbidden technique within her and only a clan member of Hotaru herself can release it. As for meeting Utakata. It was 4 years ago when Utakata fled from here due to the harsh treatment he received being a jinchūriki and all. By a bit of luck the 2 stumbled upon each other. Mei said as Hotaru continued. I was impressed by the skills he used to defend me against some nuke nin. I declared him as my master even though he tried to turn me away. I followed him until he would agree. You followed him? Naruto asked, seeing stalker written all over. Anyway, he reluctantly agreed, teaching me some water jutsu. It was later then 2 years later we were founded and brought back to Kiri where Mei-sama here. Many of the ninja welcomed Utakata back, having not been so blind as others, but sadly there are some villagers who aren't as accepting of him as others. I also trained Hotaru in a few jutsu as well, though she can be a bit of a rascal who gets into trouble. Mei teased while Hotaru whined. You're too mean, Mei-sama. Naruto chuckled. Oh, you two remind me of another adult and girl back in Konoha. He thought of Tsunade and Sakura. They relaxed until Hotaru slid over, getting closer to Naruto. Naruto. I was wondering if you could wash my back for me. She let her towel drop a bit behind her, exposing her clear back. Naruto blushed. You want me to? Yes please. I'd really appreciate it, she replied. Well okay. Naruto said as he started washing the girl's back as she moaned. That feels good, Naruto. Are you a natural at this? Hotaru moaned in delight. Actually no, this is my first time doing this. Naruto admitted. First time? That's unfortunate. I'd think someone as handsome as you would do this for all the girls. Yeah, well, standing in the shadow of Sasuke made just about every girl in the village look right past me. What a shame, Hotaru said as she continued to enjoy her back wash. Naruto, I was wondering how would you like to live in Kiri with us? Mei offered. What? Naruto asked. Well, seeing as how you're no longer welcomed in Konoha, you deserve a new home. Mei explained. Naruto smiled. Thanks for the offer, Mei-sama, but I have to decline. Oh, and why's that? Mei asked, confused, while Hotaru looked disappointed. Because as of now being around me isn't safe for the moment. How come? Hotaru asked. I may be banished from Konoha, but one member of their council still wants me dead. Danzo Shimura, the warhawk of a ninja. Mei feared recalling his reputation as a warmonger. Yeah, a week ago he sent some of his trained Anbu to assassinate me. It wasn't easy, but I managed to defeat them, and there's no question he's sent more to try and find me. That's why for now I have to be on the move. I understand. Mei nodded. As do I. Hotaru agreed. Well, you'll be welcomed here in case you need any place to stay. Mei assured him. Thanks. Naruto smiled as Hotaru laid in his chest, making him blush, while Mei giggled seeing how cute they looked. That night Naruto was set up in a guest bedroom but lied wide awake on his bed wearing a robe. While I'm glad I got to know Kiri of this time rather than the past. Mei-sama's a nice woman, just like Tsunade-basan. And Hotaru, she understands how I feel about carrying a burden of power so dangerous it could bring destruction. He thought to himself until he looked, seeing his door open and entering was Hotaru in her own robe as well. Hotaru. Sorry Naruto, but I just wanted to see you before you decided to leave tomorrow. She explained, walking to his bed. No problem, I wasn't asleep anyway. Naruto said as Hotaru climbed on the bed. I also wanted to properly thank you for not only for what you did for me, but for letting me get to know you better. Thank me how? Naruto asked, only to get his chin cupped by Hotaru's hand. Through this, Hotaru said as she planted her lips on Naruto's, who graciously accepted the kiss. They kissed for 5 minutes before they parted. Wow, Naruto gasped. You're good, Hotaru said. You were even better, Naruto replied. This was my second kiss, wonder if I should tell her, nah. Naruto. Yeah, I know this is sudden, but if you ever decided on your true future, would you make me your wife? Huh? Naruto asked, taken aback by such an offer. Nobody knows how many Uzumakis are left from the clan, and it'd be a shame if you were the only one there is. So would you ever consider marrying me? I would make the best wife I could be, and help start a new generation to the Uzumaki clan. Hotaru, I'm touched you'd say that, but you know, being the last male of a near-extinct clan entitles me to take up more than one bride. And I'd like to try it, at least make an attempt to. I understand if you ever find others who'd be willing to help restore your clan, I would be accepting of that. Good, and who knows, I may end up taking your offer into consideration. After all, I'm really starting to like you and we both have a lot in common. He noted. I know, we both carry burdens placed upon us by our families, and I know we could help each other overcome those burdens. Hotaru said. Agreed, so I may be leaving tomorrow, but I will come back and visit sometime. And when I find a perfect place to start my own home, I'll bring you there. You promise? Hotaru asked. I promise. He kissed her forehead the way Tsunade kissed his. Then let's make the most of tonight. Hotaru said as she pulled Naruto into a kiss and they started making out, which led to Hotaru sleeping in his bed with him. The very next morning Naruto collected his stuff and stood on the roof of the administration building with Mei, Ao, Chojuro, Utakata, and Hotaru. Seeing him off, well, time I got going. Naruto said. Are you sure you won't consider staying, Naruto? Chojuro asked. Can't Chojuro, it's a big ninja world out there and I'm gonna see it all. Naruto declared. Well, come back when you can. Mei said. Will do. Naruto promised. Good luck out there, Naruto. Ao said. Thanks. We'll never forget you, friend. Utakata said. And stay safe. Hotaru added. I will, Naruto said as he started hovering a bit. Gotta fly. He took off into the sky and flew off, leaving Kiri for parts unknown. In Konoha, Tsunade was slouching over her paperwork while Shizune was lecturing her about taking her job seriously. Then Jiraiya climbed in through the window. Well, good morning, ladies. What is it this time, Jiraiya? Tsunade asked boredly. Well, Tsunade, you'll be happy to know one of my messenger toads has delivered me a message from Naruto. Jiraiya began as Tsunade's bored demeanor vanished and she looked serious. Where is it? Let me see it. Easy there, allow me. Jiraiya unraveled a scroll and read from it while Naruto's voice read it as well before only his voice could be heard. Dear Boss-san, Shizune Nisan, Ero Senin and all my loved ones in that godforsaken village. It's been a week or so since my banishment, but I want you to know I'm doing perfectly fine on my own. I will admit though I do miss all of you, things aren't the same as they used to be since I no longer take ninja missions. I managed to find myself a great job with a good pay. I do magic now. I had to really practice with it, but the kids and the people just can't get enough of my work. It cuts to Naruto's Pav, who had been doing a magic show in a town. Naruto was dressed in his cloak and wore a kabuki mask that covered all but the top right side of his face, exposing his right eye. He stood before an audience of kids and adults while pulling out a deck of cards and shuffled them before dropping them on the ground, making a bad first impression, but smirked as he held out his hand and the cards went up from the ground and into his hand in a perfect deck again, leaving the audience in awe. What Naruto hadn't said in his letter was that the use of his new power was the source of his success in his magic show. Other performances he did included juggling, but used his mind to make the balls stay airborne while he took a sip of water and held his hands out catching them. He even did some hard juggling on line wires. I still haven't decided on where I'm going to now live, but don't worry, I'm just enjoying myself and getting a chance to see more of the ninja land I've never seen before. I'm still keeping up on my training with the Rasengan among other techniques. Just checking in and making sure you're all doing okay. I honestly wish I look forward to seeing you all again, but I won't be coming back and all. You never know though, maybe I'll run into some of you when you're out on missions. It could happen. Well, I got to get going. I'll write to you very soon. With love, Naruto. Jiraiya and Shizune smiled while Tsunade shedded a tear. At least he's still alive out there. Jiraiya said. Yes, I was worried. We all are, Tsunade replied. I wonder where he is now. Meanwhile, Naruto was flying across the sky above the clouds, cheering and whooping, activating hyperdrive. He flew faster. Soon he pulled to a halt and looked down, seeing the water below and land up ahead. Seems like I should stop there for a bit and conserve my energy. He flew ahead but suddenly saw he was flying right into a storm. Naruto, get out of there. Kurama called, but Naruto was already caught up in the strong wind that was messing with his balance in the sky. Whoa. The wind's all of a sudden on the move here. Naruto called as he tried to maintain altitude, not wanting to crash into the water before reaching the land up ahead. He flew through the storm, dodging some lightning strikes before finally flying out of the storm, and was right above the land before another breeze knocked him off balance and he started flying downward, seeing he was heading right for a building's roof. Oh, this is gonna hurt, Naruto said as he braced for impact as he crashed through the roof and landed in water and heard female cries. Naruto lifted his head out of the water. Oh, what a wipeout. Where am I? He looked, seeing it appeared to be a bathhouse. Suddenly he felt killer intent all around him. He looked into his shock, was surrounded by multiple girls ranging from his age and older. Some of them were wrapped in towels, while others used wash pans to cover themselves up. What Naruto noticed most about these girls was that they had some very impressive rack sizes. Nothing like Tsunade's, but very busty. Naruto looked sheepish. Hey ladies, was this your bathhouse? Sorry, I must have taken a wrong turn. You all enjoy your bath and I'll be on my way. He got up, planning to leave, only to see the girls held kunai aimed at him, making him nervous. What are you doing here, male? One of the girls asked with a frown. Honestly, I'm here by mistake. Oh, it's a mistake, all right, another girl began. You don't belong here. I agree, that's why I'm leaving this building. Naruto said, wanting to make a break without exposing his power to them right away. It's not just that, a third said, men aren't welcomed in this village. Therefore you are an intruder and must be dealt with. The girls were ganging up on him before Naruto pointed behind them. Behold! They all turned and Naruto bolted out of the bathhouse and ran through the village. Where the hell am I? He asked before hearing alarms and a spotlight shine around. Oh shit. He ran. Naruto, why don't you just fly? And what ruined the chance to explain myself? Besides, I need to keep my leg muscles in shape, he replied as he ran, seeing multiple kunoichi aiming, throwing their kunai at him, almost nailing him had he not used his power to make them fly to the ground instead. Man, that was close. These girls got good aim. Are you going to keep running forever? You have more than enough power to take them all on. Alright then, I'll stop running, Naruto replied as he spun facing them as the girls land on the ground forming a mob. Alright girls, who wants some? The girls each went at him using hand-to-hand combat while Naruto blocked some of their moves but used his telekinesis to push them back, but more kept coming and attacking him. Naruto sighed as he summoned a shadow clone. I didn't wanna have to use this on you, but you forced me to take desperate measures. His clone started forming a Rasengan in his palm. Attack! One of the kunoichis called as they were about to strike until another called. Halt! They all froze as Naruto stopped as well, ending his Rasengan. The kunoichi made way as another made their way through the crowd. It was a woman in her 30s who had an imposing figure, along with a slender physique and a very angular face framed by short brown hair along with a dark shade of red lipstick. She wore a short, backless, red, full-body suit over mesh armor, along with a pair of arm-length gloves. A long apron skirt opened in the front. She also wore bandages on her wrists, covering all of her right, left as well as her left thigh and leg. And strapped to her back was an extremely long and thin katana. Everyone stand down, she ordered. But Lady Takiwa, we cannot let a man in our village. One tried to object. That's an order. The woman Takiwa called and the kunoichi lowered their guard, putting Naruto at ease until Takiwa approached him. You there, sir? She said. Yes. That technique you were about to use, it was the Rasengan, wasn't it? It might have been, he replied. Only 2 people have been known to use that technique. One was the Yondaime Hokage of Konoha, but he is long since deceased. The other is Jiraiya of the legendary Sannin. Tell me, are you an apprentice to Jiraiya-sama? More like was, but still I did learn under him until I went on my own. My name's Naruto. This is just what we've been waiting for. Takiwa began confusing Naruto and turned to the guards. Take us to the palace. Lady Shizuka must know of this. Hi. 2 guards nodded. Follow me please. Takiwa told Naruto, who did so, wondering what was up. Soon they reached a palace where they made it to a chamber. Naruto looked ahead, seeing someone in a throne-like chair. It was a girl. This girl had fair skin and sported a noticeably curvaceous frame and large bust which Naruto could barely take his eyes off of. She had green eyes and waist-length black hair in a harem style tied in a high ponytail with short bangs and chin-length strands framing her face. Behind her bangs was a black forehead protector with the symbol of a flower on it, which was worn by all the kunoichi in the village, and she also wore a form-fitting kunoichi uniform that was gray-colored with a right shoulder armor, gray gloves, and an opening in her shirt which reveals her cleavage, which went noticed by Naruto, making him blush, but shook it off as he watched what happened next. Behold our illustrious leader, Princess Shizuka, Takiwa announced as Naruto looked at the girl on the throne. Everyone leave us. Takiwa ordered as the guards left her, Naruto, and the girl on the throne. What is the meaning of this, Takiwa? The girl asked, eyeing Naruto, who blushed. Lady Shizuka, our guards have found this male in our village, but there is something about him you should know. The woman began. Speak. Shizuka replied. His name is Naruto and he was an apprentice of Jiraiya-sama. Suddenly the girl Shizuka looked surprised. Jiraiya-sama, then he is the one. One what? Naruto asked in confusion. First of all, Naruto, this village you are in now is Nadeshiko no Sato, Pink Flower Country. Takiwa explained. Nadeshiko. Naruto asked, never heard of a country from Kakashi, Jiraiya, or anybody. Yes, in this village only kunoichi exist and train. Wow, sounds like the type of village Ero Sennin would love. Naruto replied. We have been waiting for an apprentice of Jiraiya-sama's for a long time now. The woman continued. Why's that? Didn't Jiraiya-sama tell you anything? Takiwa asked. Tell me what? Well, I guess I'll tell you then, the woman began. Many years ago Jiraiya-sama had traveled to our village. Gee, I wonder why, Naruto said in sarcasm. Anyway, our former leader who was Shizuka's mother chased Jiraiya until they dueled it out. And the only thing on the line between them was Shizuka's mother's hand in marriage. I don't like where this is going. Naruto had a bad feeling about it. Shizuka spoke, our village is matrilineal, only women are born into our line. Say what? Naruto asked as she continued. Our code is that we kunoichi of Nadeshiko only marry men we deem strong enough to be our husbands. Shizuka explained. And what does this have to do with me? Takiwa continued, Jiraiya-sama and Shizuka's mother fought to the peak of their strengths, but the duel was left unresolved. It was then a compromise was made that if the students of the two should ever meet they would continue the fight with the same price on the line. Wait, so you mean that? Naruto was shocked as Shizuka approached him and took his hands into hers. Please duel with me, Naruto, should you win I will gladly make you my husband. Naruto stumbled backward, falling on his back from the shock and surprised the two women as he got back up. Hey, this is all so sudden, I mean I was just told this. You can't honestly expect me to go along with some promise my master made. Please, denying a request to duel would bring shame to our village. Takiwa reasoned with him. Well, sorry to disappoint you, but like I said I'm no longer Ero Sennin's student. Not since I was banished from Konoha. Banished? Shizuka asked. Yeah, I've been on my own for more than a week enjoying my liberation. Liberation? That's what you call your banishment? Takiwa asked. That's right, and more to the point I have to pass on this marriage duel. Naruto said. Please, you must do this for Shizuka's sake. Takiwa pleaded. Sorry, but that's not my problem. It's been fun but have to go. Naruto was prepared to leave only for two guards to appear and block him. Even if you do try to leave you are still considered trespassing in our village. Shizuka warned him. How did you even wind up falling into the bathhouse without crossing the entrance of the village? Takiwa questioned him. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. Naruto replied. Regardless, Naruto, we are giving you an ultimatum, Shizuka continued, duel me, or be killed. Naruto smirked to himself, like they could do that to me. So now you'll escape, Kurama thought. Not just yet, Naruto thought back and spoke, alright then, I accept your terms, princess. Shizuka nodded, a wise choice. She turned to Takiwa, see that our guest is properly welcomed here, and make arrangements for tomorrow's match. At once, my lady. Takiwa nodded. Soon Takiwa had shown Naruto to his room where he got settled in, and within the hour it was dinner time with Naruto sitting with Shizuka and Takiwa at a dinner table with a wide spread of food. Wow, this sure looks good. Naruto admitted. Eat up. Shizuka beckoned him and Naruto chowed while Takiwa and Shizuka ate regularly. You know, you Nadeshiko ladies are very hospitable. Naruto admitted. You should consider yourself lucky, we don't normally treat men this generously. Shizuka replied. I'll take your word for it. Naruto said as he continued eating. After dinner Naruto was sitting out on a balcony and thought, I can't believe this, tomorrow I'm fighting against a kunoichi for marriage. I know how lucky can ya get? Kurama thought. Focus, Kurama, because if I win I'm going to have to marry her, and if I lose, actually I'd rather not even think about the consequences if it goes that far. Would marrying her be so bad to you? It's not that I don't like her, believe me, I won't deny she's hot. But I barely know her, and I'm on the run from Root. I see your point, but maybe you can make this your home if you succeed. After all, Root Anbu wouldn't be welcomed here even if they could sneak in. You're not much help in this case, Kurama. Suddenly he was broken out of his thoughts by Takiwa. Naruto. Naruto jumped before looking up at the woman. Oh Takiwa, I didn't hear ya there. I sense you are distressed. She took a seat next to him. I'm way past distressed. When I woke up this morning I wasn't counting on an arranged marriage proposal as a result of something my master promised years ago. I know it's so sudden, but I should tell you this is more than just about the promise between yours and Shizuka's masters, but to restore Shizuka's belief in love. She explained. Huh? The blonde was confused. Perhaps I ought to explain why Shizuka trains so hard. She began. You see, she's always despised how our village upholds the tradition of making men our husbands by proving themselves, and many years ago she was in love with a merchant named Sagiri, but due to our village customs was forbidden. One day Sagiri was killed and Shizuka resigned never to love again. Since then she's done nothing but train herself so that she would be stronger and never lose someone dearest to her again. Personally, I believe she is only punishing herself. Naruto, finally hearing this about Shizuka, could only sympathize with her, so that's it. Yes, I'm hoping you fighting her would be able to help her love again and not close herself off. Naruto started processing all this about Shizuka, having originally thought this was all just about a promise made years ago, realized it was much more. He smiled before speaking. All right then, I'll be ready for tomorrow. Really? The woman asked, surprised at his change in behavior. Yeah, when it comes to changing people's outlooks, I've been known to be a natural at it. Naruto smiled, recalling past experiences with Inari, Gaara, and Tsunade. I thank you, Naruto. You have no idea how much this will mean for me and Shizuka's mother. Don't mention it. He smiled. When morning came, all the kunoichi in the village were gathered inside an arena similar to the Chunin exam stadium in terms of size and space. In the stands were just about all the kunoichi in Nadeshiko. On the field stood Naruto and Shizuka warming up until Takiwa walked onto the field. Welcome, kunoichi of Nadeshiko, to the event you've all been waiting for. Today we bear witness on the long-awaited match between our late ruler's daughter Princess Shizuka. Takiwa began as the crowd of kunoichi cheered her on, and her challenger, the student of the legendary Jiraiya-sama all the way from Konohagakure, Naruto. Naruto was given boos from the ladies, but he couldn't blame them since he's yet to prove himself to Shizuka or anyone. Let the match begin, Takiwa called as she stepped away for the fighters to go at it. Prepare yourself, Naruto, Shizuka called as she ran forward, Nadeshiko style. Roaring Gale Chop, she called as her right hand glowed with wind chakra and was thrusted forward. Naruto jumped back, avoiding her strike, but felt the ground below them shake as fissures erupted on the ground Shizuka stood on. Wow, she's good, but I can't take chances. He drew a kunai. He looked up, seeing her jump above him holding multiple kunai. Nadeshiko style. Aerial dance. She threw the barrage of kunai that proved to have deadly accuracy. Naruto, however, used his telekinesis to make the kunai miss him, surprising the kunoichi. How did he do that? One asked. Princess Shizuka never misses, and he didn't even move a muscle. Another said. This Naruto must be special if he was trained by Jiraiya-sama. A third noted. Naruto jumped at Shizuka, summoning 3 shadow clones, each using their kunai to fight against her. However, Shizuka spun kicked all 4 with the clones dispelling while Naruto landed on his feet. What do ya think of that, huh? Naruto asked. You are strong indeed, Naruto, but I'm not finished. Spinning waltz. Shizuka jumped into the air, spinning like a top, launching needles all around. Whoa, needles. Naruto gasped as he crossed his arms around his body and forcibly spreaded them like he did before with the root Anbu, only to get a nosebleed from using more force than he was used to. Geez, I was almost a pincushion. He wiped the blood from his nose. He deflected all her needles just like that. A kunoichi gasped. What is that, boy? Gale fan. Shizuka called, using her wind chakra to expel a large breath of wind, forcing Naruto back, but he backflipped, landing perfectly on the ground. Seeing this, Shizuka ran forward, preparing to use another Gale Chop. You know what, I grow tired of this, Naruto said plainly as he held out his hand and was levitating Shizuka off the ground, keeping her suspended above him. What is this? Shizuka struggled. My special ability, Naruto explained. I've never dealt with anybody who's able to escape it, at least not yet. Shizuka sighed, seeing she did not have the strength to break this hold he had on her. No one's ever bested me before. Go ahead, deliver the final blow. Naruto scowled as he lowered the kunoichi back to the ground, releasing his hold on her, surprising Shizuka and her fellow village kunoichi. I have no reason to finish you. But our duel, she reminded him. It would prove nothing if I finished you off, because I bear nothing against you or this village. But the thing is, I don't live by your village rules. I'd marry for love, not by force. Love? Shizuka asked, but before anyone could respond there was a crash in the arena, putting all kunoichi on guard. Entering onto the arena was a man dressed in a horrendous pink and light purple outfit while piloting a mechanical puppet along with dozens and dozens of other mechanical puppets contraptions. At last, princess, I have come for you, the man declared. This again? Takiwa asked with a frown. You know this horrible dresser? Naruto asked. Kokuya, this man has been stalking Princess Shizuka for months now, wanting her to marry him. He keeps coming back with more of those puppet devices, but he's never done a full frontal attack like this. She explained. Shizuka frowned at the man and shouted, "You're butting in on our private matter. So sorry, but I came here with one thing in mind, to make you my bride," he declared. "And I will do it by force." His puppets started swarming into the arena. Naruto frowned, this guy badly dressed and insane. All Nadeshiko kunoichi defend Princess Shizuka. Takiwa ordered as they all piled into the arena and started fighting Kokuya's puppets. Naruto watched, seeing the kunoichi defend their leader with all their might. While I'm not of this village, I can just sit by and do nothing. Then do what you gotta do, since no one's stopping you. Hi, Naruto replied as he charged into battle, dodging several puppets, but gasped seeing Shizuka was caught by Kokuya's main puppet he was piloting. Shizuka! Takiwa cried. I got her. Naruto called, summoning 4 clones. He then held his arms out in front of the puppet and slowly started making a fist. Doing so, the puppet started getting crushed as well, as if it was in the palm of Naruto's hand. What's going on? Kokuya was surprised as his puppet exploded and Shizuka was tossed into the air while the real Naruto jumped up, catching her in his arms. Missed me? He asked while Shizuka blushed. When they landed on the ground, Shizuka saw Naruto clones were holding Kokuya in place with their psychic hold. I know you have more beef with him with stalking you constantly, but may I finish this? Naruto asked. You may. She allowed. Arigato. Naruto had another clone conjure a Rasengan for him. You try taking women by force, well, you're just doing yourself in. Now have some of this. He charged at Kokuya, Rasengan. He thrusted it into the man's chest as the clones released their hold on him. Kokuya was sent flying off into the sky, screaming with a ping when he was out of sight. The Nadeshiko kunoichi cheered in victory as Takiwa approached the princess. I'm sorry the duel has been cut short, my lady, she apologized. Shizuka held up a hand to silence her. What's done is done, Takiwa, besides I already know the victor of this match. He's proven himself worthy to me. She looked at Naruto before announcing, Naruto is the winner. Before anyone could respond, Naruto spoke, I didn't win because of my strength and jutsu. It's because I had something to fight for. And that was? Shizuka asked. To bring you back to your senses, he answered, confusing her. It's painful to lose somebody you love, I can tell. But training yourself like crazy to protect those you care about can only get you so much, but unless you are able to love, then it'll be harder to protect those who mean something to you. Believe me, I know. And if I am supposed to marry you, I will accept your terms. However, I don't know you and you don't know me. I do not want us to be forced together because of your law. I want us to get to know each other more, that way your heart will be able to tell if I am the one for you. Shizuka was surprised at his choice of words while remembering Sagiri and how much he meant to her. And this boy who she was promised to one day face in battle defeated her, claiming that he won because he was trying to help her learn to love again. She could only smile and shed a tear. Naruto, arigato. Suddenly the kunoichi and Takiwa applauded for the two. Later that night, Naruto was once again sitting on his balcony looking up at the night as Shizuka approached. How are your injuries? Not bad, I heal quickly. What about you? I'm fine. That's good. He smiled. Naruto, can I ask you something? Shoot. Why were you banished from Konoha? Naruto looked at her, wondering about confessing about himself, but knew if Hotaru and the Mizukage could take it well and not judge him, there may be hope for others. My tale is complicated, but you'll have to hear everything from the beginning of my life. Naruto explained. Shizuka listened in as Naruto told Shizuka his past, ranging from his birth to how he became a ninja up to his banishment. I had no idea. Shizuka gasped. Well, it's all true. The stuff I said about Kurama and Sasuke is legit. Naruto assured her. What a horrible life you endured. Shizuka was saddened. Yeah, but that's all in the past. I only hold the select good memories in my village, such as the people who were actually nice to me. Naruto admitted. But you didn't deserve banishment because you did nothing wrong. Shizuka said. Everyone else I cared about said that too, but the council and the civilians are biased against me because I'm not like everyone else. And with Root Ninja after me, things are only gonna be more complicated. Naruto replied. Maybe you should stay here so that they won't trace you here. After all, we are now engaged. I appreciate the offer, Shizuka, but must pass on that offer. I want to see all of the ninja land, even those I've never know about. Plus the Akatsuki are targeting me, if you get attacked by them I would never forgive myself. I understand, Shizuka said a little disappointed. Naruto smiled putting a hand on her right cheek, don't worry though. If I ever find a place to call my own that no one would go to look for me I'll bring you over there and we can start a family, you, me, Hotaru, and anyone else I might meet along the way. Shizuka smiled with her hope restored, I would love that Naruto. Also how did you manage to do all that stuff to me and to Kokuya and his puppet? I'm a very skilled wind manipulator able to use the element in ways not many can use it for. He explained. I see, well they're amazing. She smiled and hugged him. Naruto thought, sorry Shizuka, but maybe one day I really can trust you and Hotaru with my secret. Until then just hang in there. When they parted they looked into each other's eyes and Shizuka spoke, let's you and I have a wonderful life together sometime in the future Naruto. Yeah, Naruto agreed as the two leaned in closer until their lips met into a passionate kiss that lasted for 5 minutes due to both being so caught up in the warm sensation, especially Shizuka who had been closing off her feeling of love for years. When they parted Shizuka then took a hold of Naruto's right hand and moved over to her placing his palm on it, wa Shizuka. Naruto panted at the soft bosom beneath his palm. Though you may go on a long journey Naruto I'll always keep you close here to my heart. Shizuka explained. Naruto smiled, same here, and who knows I'll come back again one day. You never know. The two smiled until they turned in. The next day Naruto stood before Shizuka and Takiwa on one of the building rooftops. We'll miss you Naruto. Shizuka said. Likewise. Naruto replied. You'll always be welcomed here, though next time use the village entrance and not drop in through the bathhouse roof. Takiwa joked. I'll keep that in mind. Naruto said sheepishly. Be careful out there Naruto. Shizuka added. I will. Well ladies, time for me to go. He hovered up a bit, arrivederci, I'm out of here. He took off into the sky. Shizuka smiled as she walked off heading back to her palace with her head up high and knew deep in her heart she would see Naruto again. Takiwa watched seeing the girl had finally learned how to love again. Shizuka, your mother would be so proud of you. She followed her princess. It was one evening while Naruto was asleep at his camp. Deep in his subconscious he woke up before Kurama's cage. Kurama, what's going on? Naruto, we have a guest. The fox answered. A guest? He asked until he turned seeing a black-cloaked phantasm approach him. Okami, the Shinigami. Naruto panicked as he backed away. Go away, I don't wanna die yet. The being stopped. Oh stop your panicking boy. The Shinigami removed its hood revealing to have pale skin and short black hair surprising Naruto. Whoa, I half expected you to be all, I don't know, skeleton-like. Naruto asked. The Shinigami sighed, is that a ridiculous fantasy appearance you humans made up for us? Because it ain't even clever. Why are you here? Naruto asked. The Shinigami answered, I've come to your mind not to take your soul, but to introduce you to others special like you. Special like me. Yes, that power you have over telekinesis. It is not unique, and you were not the first to have gained it. I wasn't. Naruto was starting to get interested. No, before you only 3 had acquired the same power as you. Sadly they died years ago, 2 of them at such a young age. Who were they? See for yourself. The Shinigami raised his arm and lowered it revealing 3 teenage boys around the ages of 16 and 17. One was black while 2 were white. The 3 boys approached as the black kid noticed Naruto, so this is the heir to our legacy, boys. Doesn't look like too much from his appearance. The second boy said who appeared to look like he had bags under his eyes. Guys, he's standing right there. The third reminded them. Who are all of you? Naruto asked. The third boy spoke, my name's Matt Guretti, this is my cousin Andrew Detmer, and our friend Steve Montgomery. Nice to meet ya. Steve shook Naruto's hand. Hey there. Andrew waved. And you are? Matt asked. Naruto Uzumaki or make that Namikaze whichever works. Naruto replied and spoke, so you 3 have the same power as I do. More like had. Andrew admitted. Then you guys found the same object I did underground. That's right, it gave us our psychic power. Matt answered. So what were you 3 like before you died? Naruto asked. Well I was your average guy, not a loser but not quite popular. Matt explained. Me, I was the popular guy. Steve began, I was even running for our class president. Andrew looked down. I was cursed with bad luck. Cursed? Naruto asked. Andrew began, before I acquired the power I lived with my mom and dad. My mom was very sick from cancer and was close to dying no matter how much medicine she took. My father, well, he made life a living hell. I know a better way for you all to understand each other, rather than listening. The Shinigami said, taking their right hands and put them in the center, laying their hands on each other's as memories flowed through their minds. Naruto had seen just what the boys were saying, seeing Matt and Steve were the more popular guys, but gasped upon seeing Andrew's life through his eyes. Indeed, his mother was very sick, but his alcoholic father would abuse him out of his own frustrations, making him feel like shit. At school he was considered a freak for documenting his life with some kind of camera. After they acquired their powers, he saw that they also used their powers for fun, but noticed Andrew unintentionally steered a vehicle off the road and into a lake with the driver dying. Things got more hectic when Andrew's father continued to beat him, forcing him to fight back using his power, and blinded by his own frustrations accidentally struck Steve using lightning from a storm he was flying around in. He continued watching as Andrew was pushed off the deep end when he tried to steal money to pay for his mother's medicine, only to get caught in an explosion, putting him in the hospital. He saw the father was there weeping, wondering if he really did care for his son. Unfortunately, he cried because Andrew's mother was dead and angrily blamed his son for her death because he went out looking for him. He watched the memories as Andrew finally snapped, almost ready to take his father's life had it not been for Matt, who saved him. Naruto saw as both Andrew and Matt went into a battle in their city, putting hundreds of lives at stake. Andrew had been so corrupted and blinded by hate and frustration, Matt had to kill his cousin by impaling him with a statue's spear for the sake of the city. The boys meanwhile saw Naruto's life flash into their minds, and they were equally shocked as their link ended and they looked to each other. Whoa. They all gasped. Guys, you really? Naruto asked. And you have a? Steve asked. I do. Naruto admitted. Wow, and I thought my life was shit. Andrew said, recalling the pain Naruto went through. So the four boys started talking, getting to know each other better as the Shinigami supervised them. Naruto spoke. Andrew, I'm sorry about what happened. You didn't deserve to be treated so badly. Well, I only made it worse when I went out of control, Andrew explained. I'm just as surprised I went to heaven after all I did. I even begged God to send me to hell. You were only blinded by your power, and your dad didn't make it any better. Steve said. But Steve, I killed you out of frustration. Andrew reminded him. And you already apologized. Steve replied as Andrew calmed down. Sorry guys, just bad memories. You've all been through a lot with this power, Naruto said, and like you Andrew, I almost succumbed to my own frustration when I attacked those rude Anbu. I learned if I continued to attack out of frustration I'd put many in harm's way. Yeah, like I did. Andrew admitted. Naruto turned to Matt. I don't get it, if you lived longer than them, why do you look like your teenage self? I'm a spirit now, I'm able to alter my age being dead and all. Matt explained. You can really do that. When you're dead you'd be surprised what you're able to do, at least spiritually speaking. Matt replied. Well Matt, when you left Tibet promising to do good things and find out what happened to you guys down there in that hole. What did you find about that thing? Matt smirked smugly. Sorry, no spoilers. What? Naruto asked. I had to find the answer myself, it's only best you do. Matt smirked. Naruto chuckled as he wrestled with Matt as Steve and Andrew joined in for fun. Kurama and the Shinigami watched as the four boys were fooling around just like a group of close friends would. Soon enough Naruto stood opposite of the three boys. It was a blast talking with you Naruto. Matt said. Right back at you guys. Naruto added. You keep on working on your power, and staying alive out there. Steve added. Will do Steve. Naruto nodded. Andrew approached. And promise me Naruto, that you will never fall into darkness and become a monster like I did. Not on your life, that'll happen to me. Naruto promised. Then we wish you the best of luck. Matt said as the four boys put their hands in and threw them up. Alright boys, time for you to go. The Shinigami held his arm up, blocking Naruto's view of the three, and when he lowered it they were gone. Thanks for letting me meet those guys Shinigami-sama. Think nothing of it boy, but do me a favor and call me by my name, Zaldan. Alright then, Zaldan. Naruto replied. Well, I best be going. I have a job to do you know. Zaldan asked as he vanished. I think that Zaldan's an okay Shinigami. Naruto admitted. Whatever you say. Kurama replied as Naruto returned to his regular sleep. When morning came, Naruto woke up and stretched. Oh, what a glorious morning. He looked up at the clear sky. After heating up some Minute-Maid ramen on an open fire, he enjoyed his breakfast. Once his stomach was full, he went to the nearby stream and bathed himself nice and clean. Once he dried off, he took out a map of the ninja land. Let's see, where can I go from here? He checked the closest villages and such. Hey, I know, I'll fly to Suna and drop in on Gaara. It's been over a month since I last saw him. Besides, no doubt Boss-san already sent him a letter about my banishment. Well, if Suna's where y'all want to go right now, then go. Kurama thought. Alright then. Naruto said as he collected his things, putting them back in his scroll, and flew off into the sky. In Konoha, in Root's underground HQ, Danzo was sitting in a meditating state until one of his guards appeared. Well? He asked. Still no word of Naruto Uzumaki, Danzo-sama. Danzo frowned. Why are you letting him slip through your hands? Apologies, Danzo-sama, but every chance we believe to spot him, he ups and vanishes without a trace. Excuses. Danzo called and snapped his fingers, with two more guards appearing, taking the one by both arms. You failed in your purpose and are no longer of use to me. Rather than question his master or struggle, the one Anbu spoke. Hi, Danzo-sama. And with that, the two took the one away where he would be executed. Danzo frowned. So help me, boy, you cannot run forever. Back with Naruto, he was flying around the skies in the direction for Suna, and soon found himself flying over the land of Wind's desert. Flying above the sand is a lot better than walking on it. Naruto admitted as he continued to fly. He looked ahead and saw a village in the distance, Suna just up ahead. He picked up the pace but knew he had to land before he actually reached the village for fear of being spotted. When he got close enough, he landed on the sand and walked the rest of the way before reaching giant walls. Great, now how do I get in? He asked until a voice called. Halt, who goes there? Naruto froze as a Suna guard approached. Identify yourself. My name's Naruto, I'm very good friends with Gaara, and I'd like to see him. Naruto explained. I'm gonna need to see some proper identification. The guard said until another voice spoke. He's allowed. They turned seeing Kankuro approach. Hey Kankuro. Naruto called. Naruto, it's been a while. Kankuro waved. You know him, Kankuro? The guard asked. Yeah, he's a friend of mine and my sibs. If it weren't for this guy, Gaara wouldn't be who he is today. Kankuro replied, making the guard gasp and turn to Naruto. Please write this was Naruto. Arigato. Naruto said as the guard led him and Kankuro through the wall's opening in the center. Kankuro spoke. Nice hair, Naruto. Blonde didn't work out for you. Sort of. Naruto admitted. Soon the two entered the village and Naruto looked around, seeing the village of Suna for the very first time. Seeing it was just like a village in a desert would be like. No grass, lots of sand and minerals on the ground, and wind blowing around. Welcome to Suna, Naruto. Kankuro welcomed him. Feels homey, in a desert sort of way. Naruto admitted. Come on, Gaara will be glad to see you. Kankuro showed him to Suna's administration building. When they entered the office, they saw Gaara at his desk doing paperwork and Temari at his side supervising him. The two sibs looked up, seeing their brother and their old friend. Naruto. Temari gasped. Hey guys, good to see ya. Naruto greeted them. We're glad you could come, Gaara said as he stood up. We heard what happened to you from Lady Tsunade. It just wasn't right. Temari added. You did your job but only got banished, you didn't deserve that. Kankuro said. Thanks guys, but I'm fine, really I am. In fact, I've never felt better. How so? Gaara asked. My liberation from that village has given me more than I've ever had. Naruto explained. Really, such as? Temari asked. Naruto thought. I know I haven't told Shizuka or Hotaru about my power, but maybe these three will understand better since I know them more. He spoke. Alright, you three listen up because a lot has happened since I left Konoha. So the three gathered around their friend, who told them what happened the moment he left Konoha. When he got around to talking about his powers he acquired from the object he found under the ground, he had to explain it one step at a time so not to confuse any of them. Once he covered his powers, he told them about Root and his trips to Kiri and Nadeshiko. And that's when I decided to come here. Naruto finished. The siblings were wide-eyed in shock, even Gaara for that matter. Wow, that's just, wow. Kankuro said. I know. Temari agreed. Unbelievable. Gaara said. But you seriously can move objects using your mind? Kankuro asked. Then you require a demonstration. Naruto asked and they nodded. Very well. Naruto aimed his palm over at a scroll on the table that flew right off it and into Naruto's hand, surprising the three sibs. Whoa. Kankuro gasped. Proof enough? Naruto asked. Okay, I believe ya. The puppet ninja said. And you used that power to fly here? Temari asked. Yeah, would have been a lot longer if I walked. Naruto joked. And you didn't tell anyone this? Gaara asked. Not until you guys, he replied, and I request you not tell this to Tsunade-Basen or any of my friends. After all, if it got out to Danzo or any of his root flunkies, then they'll be after my head. I understand. Gaara nodded. Still, getting you banished wasn't enough, now one old man just wants you dead. Kankuro asked. It's a curse, I'm afraid. Naruto admitted. I know what you mean. Gaara admitted and spoke. Well, Naruto, while you may not be a Konoha ninja anymore, you're still always welcomed here in Suna. After all, I owe big for pulling me out of the darkness of loneliness. Naruto pointed to him. No chick flick moments, Gaara. Now then, as long as you're here you deserve the grand tour of Suna. Unfortunately I can't due to my paperwork. Gaara said. Yeah, and I'm still on guard duty. Kankuro added. Well, I could do it, Temari offered. Well, if you don't mind, Naruto. She hid a blush. Not at all, Temari. Naruto replied. Suddenly there was a knock at the door. Come in. Gaara said. Entering the room was a young woman who was fairly tall, of curvaceous build with a large bust. She was fair-skinned with pupilless brown eyes. She had green hair tied in a bun on top of her head with a hair needle running through it and 2 locks of hair with orange tips framing each side of her face. She wore a sleeveless, backless top and short tight pants, with 2 lapels on the front and the back. She wore an obi around her waist, as well as purple arm warmers which extended up to her shoulders, and had bandages around her tights and ankles. Gaara-sama, I have returned from my mission. Oh, sorry, I didn't know you were entertaining. The young woman said, noticing Naruto, who was blushing at her a bit. Whoa, she's cute, he thought. Gaara spoke. Naruto, let me introduce you to one of our village's renowned kunoichi, Pakura. Pakura, this is mine and my sibling's friend Naruto Uzumaki. Hi there. Naruto greeted. A pleasure, she replied and thought, wow, I never would have guessed a boy so young could be that good looking. Whoa, what am I saying? Just calm down, Pakura, she thought. Pakura. Gaara asked. Hi, Gaara-sama, she asked, snapping out of her thoughts. I know this is sudden, but would you please help Temari in giving Naruto a tour of our village? The red-haired boy requested. Me? Pakura asked. Yeah, Pakura, after all you do have a lot of free time on your hand. Kankuro smirked. Pakura blushed and frowned. Oh, be quiet. All right, Gaara-sama, I accept. Splendid. Gaara replied. Naruto smirked, coming in between the 2 kunoichi, putting his arms around them, holding them close. Let's do it, ladies. The 2 kunoichi blushed while Pakura slid away a bit. Yes, welcome alone, Uzumaki-san. She said. On my way. Naruto said as he followed the 2 kunoichi eagerly to see Suna. That's it for part 2 of Banished Naruto Builds His Own Alliance. If you're enjoying this exile storyline, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more Naruto What If fanfics. Comment below, should Naruto return to face Konoha, or keep building his own empire? See you in part 3.